As you know, I've done some recent videos on women who tell me, I want my husband to lead, and yet they don't know how to do so. We want them to lead, but we want them to do things our way. So I'm actually going to take today's video on how to give you a little skill set, ladies, on how to actually do so. That there's value in your role in the marriage. You're not just sitting there like, oh, I hope he makes the right decision. One of the movies that I have learned to love greatly was My Big Fat Greek Wedding. It's so good because it's so traditional in a way in the roles between men and women. Well, in the movie, Tula is wanting to go to college, and so she goes to her mom and she's like, Mom, I just want to go to college. And Mom's like, let's ask your dad. Let's see if he'll let you go. And she's like, why do I have to ask Dad? And he's like, he is the head of the house. And she says, why does Daddy get to be the head of why do men get to be the head? And her mother was very wise, and she said, Tula, Tula, the man is the head, but the woman is the neck. It may have been made by Hollywood, and it may, lacking God completely, it seems, but it was very wise. It may have been made for comedic reasons, but they spoke more truth in that phrase than one could imagine. I often tell women, and I joke with my own daughters, I said, how do you think Eve got Adam to bite the apple? Honey, I'm going to bite the apple? My husband and I jokingly call it the cleavage effect. Get off me for all my jokes, guys, right? I had one woman say, but I don't have any of that. Funny. But how did Eve get Adam to bite the apple? See, God gave men. Remember the video I did before that talked about how men are visually stimulated, women are emotionally stimulated? God made us both interact in a way that is complementary. But men love their wives. They love pleasing them. They love her beauty. You have the God-given ability to turn your husband's head. He can make the final decision. But do you turn him in the direction that he needs to look? Well, honey, have you considered this? Have you considered that? See, when we let our husbands make these decisions, doesn't mean that you're sitting there going, oh, I hope he makes the right decision. So many movies, so many people misrepresent this. They're like, oh, these women have to be passive, and they sit there with frumpy clothes, and they don't get to talk, and they have to be silent. Another one of my probably top 2 or 3 movies, Father of the Bride, so hysterical. At one point, part 2, I believe, Steve Martin and his wife are selling the home, and this... okay, they did stereotypical in the movie, so I'm going to say it here, but it was like this Muslim couple comes in to buy the house, and they're looking at it, and the wife says something, the husband's like, and the wife's like, and she shuts up. And Steve Martin's like, Okay, that's a stereotype. When we talk about turning our husbands' heads, it doesn't mean you have to shut up. It does mean you have to respect him, and definitely respect your spouse publicly. But God gave you a voice. You are complementary, right? So you are to present your information, present your ideas, present your knowledge, but in a pleasing way, in a way that doesn't belittle your husband, in a way that doesn't be like, oh, I'm sure you're going to choose your own thing anyway, you're the head. Is that appealing? Is that how you would speak to Jesus? Because remember, we are his bride. Or do you speak in a way that encourages, like, well, you know what I was thinking is if we do this, these are some things that I think might happen. If we do it this way, these are some things. And then you build him up, you encourage him, and you get on your knees and you pray that God gives him the reason, the discernment, and the headship that he should have. Your role is not absolutely void, ladies. But are you a good neck? The neck supports the head. The head cannot turn without a neck. And if you're fighting, like, I want you to look this way and you're going that way, you're going to get spasms. It's the same as as in our marriages. You're not supposed to get a neck spasm. You're supposed to work in union with each other. Are you a good neck? Are you turning your spouse's head? Because this is your power. And dare I ask you, gentlemen, how does your wife turn your head? And in the movie, actually, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, she's like, well, let's just let Daddy think he came up with this idea. And you listen to Tula's mother, and she's like, well, you know, this, and there is this, and you know, you've always, have to go back and watch the movie again to remember the exact lines. But the mom presented an argument in a way that didn't belittle the father. And eventually he decided to let Tula go to college, and he made the decision. But boy, if you watch it, it was a well-orchestrated husband and wife team there. So while men are the leaders of the families, and that's a big role, women, you have a huge role as well. And men, you would do well in your decision making, which I've said in my other videos, is to seek her advice. Well, what are your thoughts, honey? Because especially for young couples, these good, solid little Christian marriages, like, I'm going to do this right, I'm going to let him be the boss. They don't know how to do it, and these guys are terrified. So I'll teach you. Young men, listen to your wives. Ask for her input. What are your thoughts? There's nothing in the Bible that says only one person's allowed to have thoughts. It just says that ultimate decision, when there's a disagreement, goes his way. So you both have your roles. Ladies, if you're a fantastic neck, he's going to be a fantastic head, because you're turning him the right direction. And I pray, because your soul depends on it, you're turning him in the direction of God. Decisions that you think would be good as well for everyone, and not, just what you want. Would it be good for your husband as well? Would it be good for the whole family? I'm pretty sure both of you want the same thing. You want a happy house, happy marriage, happy family. I just got to do some ironing out of our roles. Once you get a little bit of the kinks out, you'll find it works pretty well together. Again, Bravo female or alpha female right here. Used to think that I'd have to be weaker for my husband to be stronger, and it's not been the case at all. I just lift him up, encourage him, tell him what I think, give him some space to think it through. Most of the time, we're on the same page. Sometimes he chooses something I wouldn't, and I've kind of learned to just shut up. Because if he makes a mistake, he makes a mistake. It's better him making the mistake than me, because he's the one that has to answer to God. I don't want to make a mistake in my decisions and then answer to God, who say, yeah, because you weren't supposed to make the decision. He was. Call me a prude, call me old-fashioned, but I know this stuff works. That's why we're getting back to basics. This world is so disordered. Putting it back in order is where you're going to find peace. I'm Dr. Christine Bacon. Thanks for watching another informational Bacon Bit. Want to remind you always to live your life and your marriage sunny side up.